make things happen for others, and Karan Williams will have that responsibility. Duke, one of the most efficient offensive teams in the country, got even more efficient over the last 4 games with those second chance opportunities.
Let's take a look at the starters now for the Duke Blue Devils. Quinn Cook will be out of the lineup for just a second time in ACC play. It'll be Thornton, R.Sulaimon, who came through in the clutch late against the Qs, Parker Hood, and Emil Jefferson. And for Wake Forest, a change in their lineup as well. Not only is Karan Williams in there, but Arno William Adalamoto makes his first start of the season in place of Tyler Cavanaugh inside. Duke has won 28 consecutive games here at home and is tied for the longest such win streak in the nation with Florida. Just started at home against Missouri tonight. Should be a fun one as Wake Forest looks to find a win here at Cameron Indoor in a series that dates to 1906.
Right now, Duke in the man-to-man, and Tom, you know what Jeff Guzdelik is thinking by starting Adalamoto, big, strong guy inside. You know, they're looking to attack Duke in the paint.
And that play was by design, the very first play of the game. They wanted to go to a drive from Devin Thomas. Duke, as you heard from the studio, is susceptible to drives. They allow an ACC high 33 points per game in the paint. And they had to fight through foul trouble at the end of that Syracuse game. It's a first on Tyler Thornton, and here's Devin Thomas.
Yeah, Devin Thomas leads the ACC in rebounding. He's had 5 double-figure games in rebounds. You know, this is a guy who, in their wins, averages 13 and 10, a double-double. He definitely is going to be the focal point of the Wake Forest offense initially.
Good news for Wake, they get to the free throw line a lot. The bad news, they're not necessarily good free throw shooters. Hood walked with it. First possession ends in a turnover. Mike Krzyzewski, 12-time National Coach of the Year. He owns 4 national titles. Second all-time to Dean Smith in career ACC wins. And happy to be back at home after a tough week on the road in the ACC. You mentioned it, partner. Everyone's talking about the game at Syracuse. Forget about how hard it is to win at Pitt. Akai gets it to Thomas. And he banks it in.
Well, we called it. Devin Thomas, you expect him to touch it every time down for Wake Forest. But with Duke, 23-1 following a loss, and that's since the 2009-10 season. So I think there's a comfort level with Mike Krzyzewski and understanding how to get his guys motivated after a loss.
Well, the only time they lost back-to-back was a couple of years ago when they lost in the ACC tournament in the first round of the NCAA. And they were upset in their first game. Thornton will set it up. They start with Cook, who's second in the league in assists on the bench. Here's Parker.
Well, we'll have a little travel again.
And so a couple of miscues. You know, Syracuse came out the other night against Notre Dame with a bit of a hangover. Notre Dame shot the ball well. Syracuse had to get a great game from their guards to win that one. Could this be a bit of a slow start to it, a hangover for playing in front of 35,000?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some hesitation, some second guessing after you lose a game like that against Syracuse. But you still need to come out here fired up, recognizing that, you know, this is a game that you have to win, you should win. That should motivate you enough.
Adalamoto on the offensive glass, and Thomas has another bucket.
Well, right now, from an emotional standpoint, it's hard to control those emotions, and Duke looks a little bit flat. The 2 turnovers right away.
That one went off of Adalamoto and out of bounds. Head coach Jeff Guzdelik. 14-8 on the season, 4-5 in ACC play. A devastating loss Saturday at home to a Georgia Tech team that resembles a mass unit at this point. In fact, they lost Trey Golden for more than a half. Here's Parker. And he gets the friendly touch.
Yeah, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. If Devin Thomas is going to go get the ball inside, certainly J.Parker Parker needs to get the ball inside.
Jones got stripped and made an impressive recovery to strip it away from R.Sulaimon.
Yeah, that's what Wake Forest wants to do. They want to make Duke put the ball on the floor as opposed to the catch-and-shoot variety of shots they get from beyond the arc. You know, you make them put it on the floor, now your defense can adjust. But you've got to be sure you cover the shooters on the perimeter.
Duke gets 35% of their points from deep. At 16th in the nation.
And Duke with 15 threes against Syracuse.
Devin Thomas is doing work early. He's got a touchdown to start this game.
He's got to stop screaming at the officials asking for fouls and just keep doing work.
All 7 of Wake's points have come from his sophomore. An ugly start for Duke. 3 turnovers here in the first 3 minutes. Sulaiman off the glass.
Now, one thing to make them put it on the floor, and it's another thing to make them put it on the floor on their weak hand, and that allow guys to drive with their strong hand. You know, Sulaiman, terrific job right here, just blowing by his man. He's been in double figures in 7 out of the last 11 games, averaging about 10 points during that period of time, and knocking down threes with great regularity after a very slow start this season.
We saw from Jeff Bzdelic today during the shoot-around, that was a focus of his when it came to defensive maneuvering, trying to take away the strong hand. This is still a very young Wake Forest team, and they turn it over for the second time tonight.
And that's Teron Williams. We talked about the responsibility on his shoulders is to get the team into their offense. He's not necessarily a penetrator like Miller McIntyre, but he's a guy that rarely turns it over. That's his first turnover in 10 ACC ball games. And that's an awful lot. I mean, a lot of minutes not to turn the ball over.
Sulaiman with the 3 ties it. He hit 4 against Syracuse.
Again, the catch-and-shoot variety of threes. Duke feasts on those.
Thomas may have stretched his range just a little bit, but it's another offensive rebound for Adalamoto. And Marshall Plumlee is able to tie him up. Plumlee's seen some extended playing time over the last few games, averaging 4 rebounds a game in the last 3. Called on him due to a number of foul issues on the road in the Carrier Dome on Saturday as Miles Overton enters the game for Wake, freshman from Philly.
Yeah, he's become more comfortable out there on the floor. We're talking about Marshall Plumlee. You know, there were times when he looked like a deer in the headlights. Probably got some shades right now, so he's a little bit more comfortable out there playing the game with aggression.
Andre Dawkins also entered the game for Duke. Talk about a catch-and-shoot threat. Sulaiman with the crossover on Jones. Left it for Plumlee, who didn't expect it. 5-on-2 for Wake. Adalamoto got fouled by Tyler Thornton. That's his second on Thornton. Just a few days removed from an instant classic in Syracuse, New York. We'll take you back to the Carrier Dome when we return. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
Value is always served up fresh at Subway, where this February you'll find 2 crowd favorites as this month's featured values. The classic meatball marinara is our featured $5 footlong. Try it with melty mozzarella atop our signature marinara sauce. And the $3 6-inch select of February is the better-for-you oven-roasted chicken. Top this low-fat favorite with fresh spinach, honey mustard, or whatever you love on your choice of freshly baked bread. Both are available all month long as our February featured values. Subway. Eat fresh.
So I'm working on a cistern intake valve, and the guy hands me a lockout wrench.
No way.
I'm like, what is this? A drain pipe slip knot?
Wherever your business takes you, you can save money with Progressive Commercial Auto. We work wherever you work. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
Rip City. All-stars Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge have pushed Portland into the ranks of the West's elite.
Aldridge, the foul in the bucket.
The Blazers take their high-octane act to the Garden against Melo's Knicks. Then,
LeBron's got all that.
King James and Blake Griffin rise up as the Heat and Clippers throw down.
Griffin throws it down.
The NBA on ESPN. Blazers Knicks at 8 Eastern. Heat Clippers at 10:30. Presented by State Farm. Tomorrow.
UConn, Cincinnati, and Oregon, Arizona, Thursday on ESPN.
Saturday provided the best game of the season in college basketball. Number 17 Duke, number 2 Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. And it looked like the Orange would run away with it in regulation. 28 from C.J. Fair. They had a 7-point lead with 6.5 to go. But R.Sulaimon hit this three-pointer at the buzzer to force overtime. And that's where Syracuse took over. J.Parker, Emil Jefferson, and A.Dawkins fouled out. Jeremy Grant scored 8 in overtime, part of his career-high 24. The Orange moved to 21-0 for the first time in school history in front of an on-campus record 35,446. And here are the words after the game. Mike Krzyzewski said great rivalries don't have to be built on hatred. They're built on respect, a respect for excellence. And I love what C.J. Fair said in this ACC matchup. Feels like this rivalry has been going on for 30 years. It's only the first one. It was an emotional loss for this Duke program and the players as individuals as they left the floor. Their heads down, have to rebound quickly. Syracuse said he'd come back and play last night.
And they had a bit of a hangover. Took them a while to get the engine started against Notre Dame.
Dalamoto makes them both. Wake back in front. Duke hasn't led here in the first 4+ minutes of this game as Tyler Cavanaugh enters from the Wake Forest bench. Duke has turned it over 4 times. Wake has turned that into 8 points.
Yeah, Tyler Cavanaugh in the game right now. He's got the ability to stretch the floor. 6'9", capable of shooting threes.
Davis McKay with his first personal. Quinn Cook off the bench for Duke at this point, after Thornton committed his second personal foul before we went to break. So here's A.Dawkins. Hit 4 threes against Syracuse. He leads the ACC in three-point percentage. The fifth-year senior has another one coming his way.
Yeah, you talk about being able to knock him down, getting in the zone. He's hit for 5 or more in 4 games this year. And over the last 5 games, he's been shooting over 50% coming into this game, 18 of 35. No wonder he leads the ACC in three-point percentage.
Cavanaugh tried to go high-low, and Plumlee got a hand on it.
Yeah, he's a little bit far away to make that high-low pass. Had he been at the elbow, it might have been a little easier to lob the ball. If you're going to lob it, you don't lob it at the rim. You lob it at the corner of the backboard to give the guy, the receiver, some room to operate.
Tried to go inside again, and Matt Jones, a freshman, gets whistled for his first personal.
Right now, you can see defensively, Mike Krzyzewski has to rotate any number of guys on Devin Thomas. Try to wear him down. Obviously, you try to also, kind of spread the fouls.
Overton gets a friendly touch.
Because it's going to be a long evening in the paint for the Duke bigs if they don't find a way to solve Devin Thomas.
I'm a little surprised Mike Krzyzewski has gone this deep to his bench this early.
Well, I think it's a combination of confidence not only in his bench, but in his starters. And his starters may have suffered that emotional letdown coming from the Syracuse game. And the hope is that the guys off the bench will provide some sterling play that are going to lift the spirits of the guys who are on the bench. And when they get back in the ballgame, they pick up where it dropped off. And that's one of the things, certainly, that Duke is hopeful of. A.Dawkins giving them a spark.
And Dawkins is as good as a starter. Gives them nearly 10 points a game. But only 24 teams in college basketball play their starters more minutes than Duke does. He's gone deep to the bench. Beautiful feed and the slam from Mackay.
That's nicely set up. That's your normal pressure release. Two bigs come up to the elbows. The wings step towards the ball and then go back door.
Dawkins again with a hand in his face.
And as frustrating as that back door was for Duke defenders, it's the same thing on the Wake Forest side. You can play perfect defense, and Andre Dawkins still burns you.
Thomas feeds Overton. There's the Wake answer.
Crowd looking for a travel. It's apparent they haven't seen the Euro step. That's exactly what that was. Side step, no travel involved on that one.
This time Dawkins tries to drive and draws a foul from Devin Thomas. Jeff Zdelic wants his team to go backdoor on Duke as often as possible.
Look at the two big guys at the elbow, and you see Mackay just use Andre Dawkins' aggressiveness against him.
And the key that they worked on in shoot-around was getting those wings when they come out, before they go backdoor, to come out not just to the three-point line, but to come all the way out near where the hash would be on the sidelines of an NBA court, come all the way out to the top of the key extender.
Yeah, you get them, the defenders, to go above the line of ball, you lose sight of what's going on. And that immediate quick step back door, you got to step on the defender, and that's when it all should happen.
So Jones takes a seat, as does Hood. Parker and Jefferson back on the floor for Duke. Tied at 16. Wake will ask Madison Jones for extended minutes tonight. He only plays 23 minutes a game. Kavanaugh got a little bit of a step on Parker and converts.
Again, you got to like how aggressive the bigs for Wake Forest are playing. Devin Thomas for sure, and you look at Tyler Kavanaugh, normally a guy who'll turn and face and shoot jumpers. He's going to the basket strong.
Dawkins.
Catch and shoot opportunity right there. That's something Wake cannot allow. Andre Dawkins will eventually burn you to a nub if you allow him to catch and shoot in an open look.
Overton's not shy. He's got another triple. Wake up by 5. Miles Overton hadn't made a 3 in 3 games.
Yeah, came into this game 8 of 28.
And a steal by Madison Jones. Devin Thomas. And Kavanaugh went over the back. Wake Forest went to a zone the entire second half against North Carolina State. In their win earlier this season, Jeff Zdelic said, we've got to be able to play some zone tonight. Now, even though Duke, as you mentioned earlier, hit 15 threes against Syracuse's zone on Saturday, we have to be able to mix it up on the fly tonight. Duke has made 5 buckets so far this evening, 3 of them from deep.
There's the zone right there, a little matchup action. Duke will play into the zone's hands if they take quick shots.
Sulaiman with a chance for a 3-point play.
Second chance opportunities. Offensive rebound, Sulaiman using the left. And that's another thing, the second chance opportunities. Last 4 games, Duke has averaged about 23 points off of offensive rebounds. They just had one 20-point game of second chance opportunities in their first 18. So one of the reasons for huge success of late, particularly in ACC play, has been Duke's ability to get on the offensive glass.
Kavanaugh again. Again, he's able to drive on Parker. Duke had 22 second chance points against Syracuse on Saturday, a game that featured 11 ties and 8 lead changes.
People are looking at Tyler Kavanaugh saying, who is this guy?
Roundtree finds Jones.
Good ball movement.
Rusty LaRue had an interesting comment to his guys today. He had the scout on Duke. He said, we're going to run a broken offense. You've got to be able to make plays. And thus far, offense broken or not, Wake's making plays.
What is focus? It's a wondrous sensation of clarity and alertness. It's owning your opponent. It's knowing beyond a doubt you've got this. It's keeping your head down, your eye on the ball, and knocking it out of the park. It's getting in the zone. It's keeping on your toes, on target, on top. Focus is staring the world in the face and saying, bring it. Focus is power. Focus is life. And 5-hour energy is focus.
Energizer Max batteries are designed to hold power for up to 10 years. With the help of Power Seal technology, you'll always have power when you need it most. That's positive energy.
Anish Shroff with his Sports Center U in-game. North Carolina bouncing back from that 1-4 start in ACC play. UNC going for a 4th straight win. James Michael McAdoo the flush. Heels up by 10 on Maryland.
All right, Anish, thanks. Here in the longest running rivalry in the ACC, Wake Forest has a lead on Duke of 4, and they've done it like a lot of teams by getting points in the paint against the Blue Devils.
Well, conscious effort of putting it on the floor. Unless it's off a penetrating kick, every ball handler for Wake Forest is looking to drive the ball. And right there, nice back door, utilizing aggressive defense against them. And even the bigs, guys you wouldn't expect to drive to the basket like Tyler Kavanaugh, getting involved in the party.
Duke allows an ACC high at 33 points per game in the paint. And if you want to look at hustle stats tonight, well, the bench has been magnificent thus far. 12 of 23 for the Deeks. 12 of 23 in the paint, and they've already forced 6 turnovers and turned those into 8 points.
And the flip side, Duke hasn't really been able to turn Wake Forest over as of yet. Just 3 turnovers. And Duke gets an awful lot of their offense off points off turnovers.
And they get the majority of their offense from J.Parker and Rodney Hood, the top-scoring duo in the ACC, and one of the 10 top-scoring duos in Duke history. They combined for just 2 points. Parker's hit 1 shot and 1 attempt. Hood is 0 for 1, and J.Parker on the bench coming out of this timeout. Adalamoto follows his miss. Roundtree had it, and we get a whistle and a foul on the floor against Marshall Plumlee. It's a first on Plumlee.
Tell you what, Wake Forest continues to not only execute their game plan, but they're starting to stay within character. This is a team that averages about 27 free throws per game. That's an awful lot, but they're only shooting 65%. So they're not really taking advantage of the opportunities given to them.
Yeah, they lead the nation in free throw rate in terms of getting to the line relative to their field goal attempts. Only 25% of their points come from the line.
And that one was not a free throw, not quite in the bonus.
16 fouls on Duke. They'll shoot the next time. Adalamoto stretching. Very few jump shots from Wake Forest early on.
And that's the guy that probably shouldn't be taking a jumper. 0-6 from beyond the arc, and not really a mid-range jump shooter. He'd be more better served getting it inside, passing it, cutting it, posting. You get a little excited sometimes. Teams going well. Guys are knocking down shots. You figure I could do that too.
Dawkins can knock down shots.
Wow. Again, catch and shoot situation. You've got to get in his grill and not give him any room. Force him to put it on the floor.
Kavanaugh guarded by Emil Jefferson.
Nice step through.
What a beautiful move.
Nice step through.
He's a sophomore. That was a senior move. Tyler Cavanaugh from DeWitt, New York, near Syracuse. He worked out at the Syracuse facilities throughout the offseason. They recruited him hard. Here's Dawkins again, off the mark. And Madison Jones goes up to get a rebound.
Strong rebound taken away from Emil Jefferson, and Wake Forest now sending everybody to the glass.
The only Deacon who's been successful from deep has been Miles Overton thus far tonight.
Switching right now, that's what Wake is going to do on the perimeter. They'll let Harrison have that.
It was halfway down. Wake holding on to a 3-point lead. First 10 minutes of this game. Last year in Winston-Salem, they were tied at the break, and Duke ran away in the second half.
You can't go nonchalantly after the ball.
It was touched by Hairston, so no backcourt, but the shot clock at 10.
Overton, after he lost his rhythm, would have been better suited pushing it back outside. They still had some time on the shot clock. And you see Madison Jones pulling his team together and say, guys, settle down.
You joined us late. Cody Miller-McIntyre, a sophomore guard, will not play today. Suffered an ankle injury at the end of the first half against Georgia Tech on Saturday. He's in street clothes. Top 10 in the ACC in points, assists, field goal percentage, assist-to-turnover ratio. He has 9 20-point games and is Wake's leading scorer.
Well, right now we talked about the danger Wake Forest can find themselves in if they allow Duke with regularity to get a catch-and-shoot opportunity. And that is essentially just a pass to the shooter, open shooter, no dribble, nothing, just go straight up. And right now it's doing a decent job. 33%, 3 of 9. 0 for 2 from inside the arc, 3 of 7 from outside the arc. You've got to continue to guard those guys and get in their drills and force them to put it on the floor.
R.Sulaimon and Andre Dawkins have carried the load for Duke. They have 22, the Blue Devils 24. As Karan Williams re-enters the game. 2 stars, Parker and Hood, have combined for only 2 through the first 10.5 for Duke. The senior Mackay gives it up. Thomas on the drive is able to draw the foul on Josh Hairston.
You know, I think Wake has stumbled upon something. You know, the fact that they're continually driving. The Duke players defensively are not coming out in good defensive position. Down low, center of gravity down low where they could move quickly laterally. They're standing straight up. And hence the first step by Wake, they're able to blow by them. That's smart, not to turn it over.
See if they go back to an isolation and a drive by clearing out the middle again.
It's tough defense by Matt Jones right there. Ultimately takes the ball away from Williams. That's Williams' second turnover in ACC play.
And an ill-advised breakout for Arno Adalamoto.
Sometimes you got to know who you are. You got to know what your skills are and what your limitations are, and you don't want to stifle guys and, you know, probably put any kind of constraints on their play, but the player has to understand what he's capable of doing. And Adulamoto has to understand, you know, where his strengths are, and it's certainly not lead the break.
Hood is yet to score. Jones, the freshman, gets fouled after an offensive rebound, and that's the second on Travis Mackay.
And that's one of the reasons I think that Mike Krzyzewski is content, you know, playing his starters sporadic minutes initially and giving the bench guys some time, because they're coming out here hungry. They're coming out here aggressive. Matt Jones, nice job on the defensive end, and here offensively getting the offensive rebound.
And I wonder if foul trouble is a concern after 3 guys fouled out against Syracuse. Duke was put in a tough spot with their post defense in overtime in the last minute or so of regulation.
And right now, the only guy who probably won't see any more action in this first half would be Tyler Thornton, who's got 2 personal fouls. But you're right, you want to make sure that your guys don't get so deeply in foul trouble that it's hard to utilize them in crunch time. Just missed them right there.
Tried to drive on Parker, had it knocked away. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Good idea, though. In that regard, you have to be fearless. If you know your game plan is to drive the ball, everybody's got to be able to follow. And see, J.Parker needs to get out of the paint, and he needs to post J.Parker up. Had a great opportunity to do so.
Bad entry pass, Parker with the steal. He's going to take it himself, and he had it knocked away. And that'll put Jabari Parker at the free throw line. It's a second on Karan Williams.
And it bears repeating, upon his shoulders, Karan Williams has to take the ball handling responsibilities. And again, a guy with, at least until this game, terrific assist turnover or lack of turnover numbers. Turned the ball over 3 times thus far here in the first half.
He was #1 in the nation in turnover rate, according to Ken Pom coming in tonight. As you mentioned, hadn't turned it over in 9 ACC games. Another free throw coming for Parker. Jabari Parker is the only Blue Devil besides J.Sulaiman and Dawkins to score. He only has 4. J.Sulaiman and Dawkins have the remaining 22.
Let's see how energized Duke can be right now that they've got a lead.
There's a back cut for Mackay and another slam.
And J.Sulaiman turns around. He looks at his teammates. Where's my help? Where's the communication?
Travis Mackay was in a big-time funk earlier in ACC play. Jeff Gazdelec said, I want you to go hard running the floor and running your back cuts, and you'll get looks, and you'll get points. Said if you can do those things once a half, your point total will catch up to you. And Jones fouled in the open court by Quinn Cook. It's the first on Cook.
And right now, J.Sulaiman trying to do a job against Travis Mackay. Gets too high, and Mackay gets higher.
I'm Jay Billis, and I'm here to tell you to cast your vote for the John R. Wooden Award, presented by Wendy's, the award for the best college basketball player in the country. Majestic, isn't it? To win this bad boy, you've got to have skills. Rebounding, passing, defense, dribbling, shooting. Skills like those possessed by these guys. The Wooden Award 5. To vote for the best college baller and meet the Wooden Award 5, go to woodenawardvote.com.
Show it off, America. You did it right. And you went to the one place that helps you do it right. AutoZone. We have the advice, the instructions, we even loan tools. Because parts are just part of what we do. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
An important message for Navy veterans and their families. New studies estimate nearly 3 Navy vets will be diagnosed with mesothelioma every day. If you or someone you know served in the armed forces or worked at a shipyard and has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, find the best care available. Then call us. For nearly 2 decades, we've been fighting for people with asbestos-related diseases. Call us at 1-800-950-MESO. Mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
The person who said, if you love something, set it free, probably wasn't talking about dollars. Everybody wants to keep those. Well, Esurance majors in efficiency. When they save, you save. So you can keep your dollars. Esurance, backed by Allstate. Click or call.
Welcome back to Super Tuesday at Cameron Indoor, where Duke trails Wake Forest by 1. Wake is doing some simple things to get looks at the rim, and one of that is when they're going back door, they're going hard.
Well, again, you have to go hard. You take a look right there. That first step is the one that gets you open. And as I said before, if you look at the Duke defenders, instead of being down in good defensive position, they're kind of standing straight up. And when you, as an offensive player, see that, your first cut to the basket, you get head and shoulders past the man, you're home free.
Jeff Bizdelic had a sit-down with his senior Travis McKay after their loss to Clemson, where he just went 1 of 7 and 0 for 4. He said, I've got some things that you need to do every game. And you do these things once a half, and your point total will climb up. Now, he's got 4 points tonight off of hard cuts. He said, I want you to run the floor. You get 1 run out per half. That's 4 points. You cut hard once per half. That's another 4 points. You get a couple offensive putbacks per half. That's another 4. You're at 12 points, and you haven't even been to the free throw line, and he's one of the best free throw shooters in the ACC.
And you haven't taken a jump shot either. You don't have to worry about those offers when you've gotten a few easy buckets.
He's turned that slump around in a big way at 26 on Saturday against Georgia Tech. Addison Jones missed the front edge.
46% free throw shooter. It's tough to have a point guard that can't knock down free throws with regularity. You can't be in the game at the end.
Duke hasn't made a field goal since the 11:32 mark. 0 for 5 since then. A couple of trips to the free throw line. That's all. Jones again with the drive, and he'll go to the free throw line. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. On Thursday at 9, it's the Pac-12 showdown. It's Aaron Gordon and number 2 Arizona host Oregon. Pivotal game for the Ducks. Started 13-0, but have dropped 6 of their last 8. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney. Oregon versus number 2 Arizona. Thursday at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Here's the first personal on A.Dawkins. And Jones, just a 46% free throw shooter, is unfortunately for Wake fans living up to his numbers here tonight. Missed the front end a moment ago, and now has one more coming as Kavanaugh returns.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be mental. You just can't understand why, particularly, guards can't hit free throws with greater regularity. That was good rotation, good follow through. Just don't have to think about it.
Isolation for Parker, and it's a 3.
And you know what? They'll live with that, Wake Forest. Well, if Parker wants to stay out there and shoot threes, more power to him. All Kavanaugh has to do is get a hand in his face.
Jones got by the defense again. No whistle. Parker with the dunk, and it went off of Madison Jones. Farmy with the block for Parker.
The excellent defensive play by Parker. Jones took it in a little too far right there. I like the way Parker avoided the contact, too. He needs to look to drive here or back his man down. Much better offense by J.Parker.
Last 5 games for J.Parker Parker, 70% of his field goal attempts have come into paint. Previous 4 ACC, only 37%. And on consecutive trips, you obviously see where his strength is. Missed the 3 and nailed the mid-range jump. Offensive foul on an illegal screen, and that'll be the 3rd on Tyler Kavanaugh.
Screeners, hold your screen. Ball handlers, wait until your screener is set. If you're both moving at the same time, that's going to be the result.
7th turnover for Wake Forest. Kavanaugh staying in the game for the time being. 5.5 before the break. Hood, first points of the night.
Now, how often have we seen Duke playing at home in the last 5 minutes of a game, of a half, and the first 5 minutes of the second half? How often have we seen them pretty much turn it on and create distance between themselves and their opponent? This is a tricky time for Wake Forest.
Thomas found the crazies. A fastball to the 3rd row.
Plays like that. You see Jeff Bizdelic telling guys to settle down. It's plays like that that multiply in a situation like this. And instead of being down 2, you find yourself down 12. 14 going in to the locker room at halftime. Got to be under control.
Rodney Hood finding his rhythm. Timeout, Wake Forest. It's an 11-3 Duke 1, and Hood's got 5 of those. Don't miss a Wednesday night hoops doubleheader right here at ESPNU at 7. It's a Big 12 battle between number 21 Oklahoma and West Virginia. Then at 9, 14th ranked Louisville, 7-2 in the American, take on Houston. Look to get back on track after 4 straight conference losses. Wednesday night hoops at 7 and 9 at ESPNU and live on Watch ESPN.
Well, there's the subtractions. Louisville, you know, through graduation, Gorgie Jane, Peyton Siva, and then obviously Shane Bohannon having to leave school. They've all put a lot of pressure on Russ Smith, and he's handled it pretty well. I mean, he's the obvious leader of that team. He's expected to do an awful lot, score, be the point of their defense, the pressure defense. He's handled it nicely. Got to go after harder.
Second consecutive turnover for Devin Thomas. That one you say was on Moto.
Yeah, Adolamoto did not get off the ground for that pass. If you're looking for a lob and you're open and Thomas threw it to the right spot towards the corner of the backboard, you've got to be able to lock your man, hold him, and then leave your feet if necessary. And Adolamoto never really left his feet.
There he is again, Rodney Hood.
And what I tell you, last 5 minutes, Duke smelled blood in the water. Well, that's the 5th half.
Hood has scored the last 8. Wake Forest has turned it over each of their last 3 trips. Overton. Offensive foul. It's another Wake Forest turnover. On the other side, it's another Rodney Hood jumper. They left him alone and paid for it. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of current and former military members and their families.
Rip City. All-stars Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge have pushed Portland into the ranks of the West's elite.
Aldridge, the foul in the bucket.
The Blazers take their high-octane act to the Garden against Melo's Knicks. Then
LeBron's got all that.
King James and Blake Griffin rise up as the Heat and Clippers throw down.
Griffin throws it down.
The NBA on ESPN. Blazers Knicks at 8 Eastern. Heat Clippers at 10:30. Presented by State Farm. Tomorrow.
Ciabatta.
Not a ciabatta.
He must have forgot it.
Introducing Wendy's new ciabatta bacon cheeseburger with roasted chopped tomatoes and rich rosemary garlic aioli.
I got a ciabatta.
Now that's better.
That's your new boss?
Yeah.
Well, your boss loves the beach.
Really?
She's been to London, Paris, and her son plays baseball.
You psychic?
No. I speak Pandora. He went to Jared.
Celebrate life's unforgettable moments with a fabulous selection of Pandora charms and bracelets, including this charm and bracelet exclusively at Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, telling her life story with just a turn of the wrist.
You're good.
I know.
That's why he went to Jared.
Today, Schropp with Bruce Pearl, North Carolina, slowly trying to find its mojo, looking for a 4th straight win. Marcus Page has been big against the Terps.
Well, he's left-handed, but he went right baseline that time. That's called a tough 2 right there. He does it inside and out.
22 for Marcus Page. Coach, coming up At halftime, a big debut in Gainesville by Chris Walker for Florida. Kansas bounces back. Texas letting TCU hang around.
That's going to be an interesting finish.
Anish, thanks. Back here, Duke leads Wake 36-28. My partner played at Maryland, fantastic player, and now Maryland and North Carolina meeting for the final time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's hard to believe with all the terrific games between the two programs. So, you know, old memories die hard, but at least you get to keep them. The good ones particularly.
That's right. R.Sulaimon trying to reverse it in, didn't get the bucket or a whistle, but it's another offensive rebound for Duke. And 22 second chance points against Syracuse. That's their 6th offensive rebound tonight. And Emil Jefferson with the shove underneath. He sent Arnaud Adalamoto flying.
Can't tell me it's not physical under there.
Jefferson's kind of looked like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar there. You got me. Well, Wake has been in a bit of a slump. It's been 4 minutes since they made a field goal.
So they continue with their game plan, but they're going to have to find some adjustments to be made as Duke has tightened up the defense. And the mistakes that are made by Wake Forest, Duke's capitalize on. Look at that right there.
Here's J.Parker. Timeout, Wake Forest. 12-0 Duke run.
We'll take a look right here. Now, look, he's overplaying. Thornton's done a terrific job overplaying Williams. Williams needs to step and then go back door once again. Wake is not utilizing their ability and the opportunity to go back door. And it obviously has hurt them tremendously as Duke remains aggressive. You know, when you're being pressed like that and overplayed outside, you got to go away and bring somebody else in. You can't keep inching and inching because the defender knows that. He's just timing it, and nobody does it better than Tyler Thornton.
Early in this game, Wake Forest was able to use the back cut to alleviate some of the pressure. That has gone by the wayside. Adalamoto left it short, and it's taken to the ground, but the possession arrow will stick with Wake Forest.
Yeah, Dalamoto's getting the looks. He's getting the shots. He just can't finish. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily his game. He's got to continue to work on that to complete his game.
Just a sophomore from Cameroon. The loaded sophomore class for Wake Forest.
And, you know, a guy like Jeff Vizdelek, who is under a lot of fire in the preseason, you know, people are starting to realize that, hey, they've got something going here. They've increased their wins. You know, he's got a young team that continues to get better. And he's got guys who like it here and like playing for him. You know, if I suspect that if, you know, Vizdelek was moved some way, somehow, guys like Devin Thomas and some of the other outstanding sophomores would probably leave as well, and you definitely don't want that happening.
Their roster ranks 336th out of 347 in experience in Division I college basketball. A.Dawkins returns for Duke. Another free throw coming for Devin Thomas. Thomas had 7 points early. Only one outside of the first 2.5 minutes of this game. He was playing with great energy to start this contest. Now he's kind of wincing out on the court. I don't know if he's 100% healthy. Parker leaves it for Thornton. Got it!
Catch and shoot. Off the penetration. In a situation like that, I don't know why the perimeter defender takes his eye off and is trying to help on the drive, because all you're doing is leaving yourself open for exactly what we saw. You got to stay home.
Jumpers haven't been there for Wake Forest tonight. They've been there for Duke. Sulaimon's got 13.
Let's go back and revisit what we talked about earlier, how Wake had to cut down on those catch and shoot opportunities, had to defend off of penetration and stay at home. Their inability to do that has really cost them.
Rodney Hood commits his second personal foul.
See Karan Williams being tutored by one of Wake Forest's greatest players, Randolph Childress. Randolph and I were sitting on the sideline looking at this floor, and I was asking him, you know, with the success he has, did he have any favorite spots on that floor? He laughed and started to point them out.
He's got a lot of favorite spots on this floor. Game winner here against Duke. He's not the only former Deacon on the bench as we look forward to National Signing Day. 2014 college football season starts now with National Signing Day. ESPNU's 11 hours of coverage will feature reporters at a dozen campuses, live player announcements, and up-to-the-minute class ranking updates. ESPNU's National Signing Day tomorrow at 8 a.m. So Childress had 40 against Duke in the ACC tournament. He had the game winner at the buzzer here. But how about the day that Rusty LaRue had on the gridiron his senior year against the Duke Blue Devils? He threw the ball 78 times in the loss in 95. They got behind 35-0. His coach, Jim Caldwell, said, let's just open it up. And Rusty LaRue did that. He threw for 478 yards and 4 touchdowns. Completion attempts are still a single-game record. 5 NCAA records in that game. He went 41 for 56 in the second half. Those two guys played together on their hardwood, and now their sons play high school ball together. Rusty's son Riley plays with Randolph's son Brandon at East Forsyth High School in Winston-Salem. And I'm guessing father and son look just like those two guys did when they won here Cameron Indoor back in the mid-90s.
I am sure that they do. You see both of them sharing a little chuckle, but Rusty LaRue, 78 pass attempts. Man, he probably couldn't come back on the floor and shoot the three any longer. That arm had to be dead.
I said, that was the first time he really opened it up like that. How did it feel? He said, well, we lost the game. He said, but Coach Caldwell said, let's just open it up the rest of the season. That became a regular thing. Kevin Thomas trying to get back on the scoreboard after that fantastic start to this game. And he's doing it from the free throw line. Makes them both that time. He's into double figures. Sulaiman and Dawkins guard 22 of the first 24 for Duke. Since then, others have chipped in for 17 of the last 20. Parker and Hood have come alive in the last 5 minutes of the half. Combined for 16. And here's J.Parker Parker again. It's like a catch-up commercial. Good things come to those who wait. We had to wait for Parker and Hood to get going.
And that one was much too easy. You don't let J.Parker Parker get the ball point-blank range in the paint. No contest at all.
Jones, beautiful dish, and a two-hand jam for Adalamoto. His first field goal, and with just under 6 seconds to go in the half, Mike Krzyzewski wants to set something up. Duke's shooters have been in rhythm tonight.
I'd say they've been in rhythm, man. You know, they've been better than the Rockettes in this kind of situation. Catch and shoot off of penetration. That's Duke's huge strength. They shoot the three so well, and right there, all they're doing is delivering the ball on the money. Remember, good passes lead to good shots. And here, off of penetration, always finding the guy wide open. When you take a look at these numbers, you start to realize that Duke has been outstanding in this game. Catch and shoot. 1 of 3 inside the arc and 6 of 12 beyond the arc. You know, if you're playing a Duke Blue Devil team, you have got to find a way to guard the penetration, but not to go into your defensive instinct and try to help when there are shooters sitting there. You've got to take your chances on the drive.
Hood can't beat the buzzer. Duke 6th in the nation in three-point shooting coming into this one. They're continuing that run with an 8 of 16 first half from deep. Duke took control in the final 5 minutes of the half. It's now a 13-point lead for the 11th-ranked Blue Devils. Now to the studio with Manish.
All right, Tom, thank you. This was a game for most of the first half, and then Duke sort of awoke from the slumber. If there was any hangover after that emotional loss to Syracuse Saturday, Duke kind of shook off the cobwebs.
They totally forgot about Devin Thomas. Scored 7 points early and didn't come back to see the ball pretty much until towards the end of the half. By that time, the double-digit Duke lead.
Duke closed on a 20-5 run. Wake helped with 8 turnovers in that span. Hood and Parker came alive to score 16 of those 20. After Mike Krzyzewski went to his bench early, tried to go over the top to Hood, and Duke turns it over. 9th turnover of the game for the Blue Devils. Wake built an early lead by 5 by not only going inside, but going back door and spreading Duke out defensively.
And really turning and facing and putting the ball on the floor and driving past Duke, forcing the help to come.
So it's easy to ask from a couch or from the catbird seat, why did they go away from that? Okay,
Your
that's what I
guess
thought.
as good as mine. You know, I think what happened, some guys, you know, got a little bit shot happy, taking shots that they normally wouldn't have. I think that was part of it. I think Duke did a good job adjusting, putting more effort into guarding Devin Thomas. But still, off the drive and off the dribble, I think Duke's a little more active with their hands and knocking it down.
They get a foul on the shot at the shot clock buzzer. The bucket will count. And it came off of an offensive rebound on an airballed layup from Adalamoto, and that is the second personal on Parker.
Well, you talk about fortunate right there. It could have been a violation, but for the foul.
And so Arno Adalamoto making his first start of the season.
You know, Adalamoto, we talked about in the first half, may have taken some shots he shouldn't have, but the important thing is he's made himself a threat. You know, normally when guys aren't putting the ball on the floor, they're not really looking to score. The defenses fall off them and, you know, usually have an advantage.
That's the second personal on Devin Thomas.
And when you have to play everyone, it puts a lot of pressure on that dude.
To make sure the foul was correct. Hood dribbled on the sideline. He's had, you know, frustrating night. He finished with a flurry, 8 points in the final 5:23 of the half. But Rodney Hood has been bothered by a couple of the fouls he's been whistled for. A couple of other frustrations on the offensive end.
And if you Wake Forest, you got to realize the more you can make Duke move, either putting it on the floor, you know, moving without it, the better opportunity you have of making a stop. You let them run their stuff, penetrate, kick to standstill jump shooters. You let them throw it over your heads in the alley-oop to like a J.Parker, you're in trouble.
Adalamoto lost it on the way up. It's his second time this half. He's had it point-blank range, and at Butterfingers.
And here's the problem for Jeff Grisdelic. You really don't have anybody else on that bench that you can plug into that spot. Tyler Cavanaugh gave him some decent minutes, but he's got to live with Adalamoto, the good and the bad.
Dalamoto gives him 6.5 points, 5.5 boards a game. He's already over his average for points. Overton is begging for it in the corner. He's going to shoot with a hand in his face.
Looks like he got a piece of it, J.Parker did.
Overton's made the only 2 threes of the game for Wake. Parker on the glass.
And see, that's the problem when you play zone. Parker kind of rolled into the paint after the shot was taken, and he was by himself to go get that second chance opportunity.
Good ball movement. J.Parker Parker. Strong move. And that's the second on Adalamoto. It was a 20-5 Duke run to close the half.
And this is where Duke would like to, again, pour it on, create some separations in the first 5 minutes of the half. And when you think about it, that's usually what any front runner would want to do, because the longer you let teams stay in the ball game, the more difficult it is to put them away.
Cavanaugh returns for Wake. A dozen now for Parker. Madison Jones played every minute of the first half due to the injury to Cody Miller-McIntyre.
And he's really been their most reliable ball handler. Deron Williams obviously hadn't really handled the ball the way we would have expected.
Lackadaisical pass and a run out for Sulaiman. Again, Duke playing the passing lanes. And a hot five for Mike Krzyzewski for Tyler Thornton.
I'll tell you what, before we go to break, you got to realize that that pass is almost impossible. Angle is bad, too much distance between the two of them.
I think Mike Krzyzewski likes great defense. He wants his guys to get on the edge and to pressure. Yep. Almost better than minutes.
Watch College Hoops live all season long on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com.
Honestly, my kids were always on my laptop. I didn't think I could buy them their own, let alone for under $300. But this Asus with Windows is lightweight and has everything they need. Not like Chromebooks that can't install Office or have to be connected to the internet to get much done. With this, they can do homework, chat, play games on their own laptop in their own time. So no more fighting. At least, not over my laptop.
What is focus? It's a wondrous sensation of clarity and alertness. It's owning your opponent. It's knowing beyond a doubt you got this. It's keeping your head down, your eye on the ball, and knocking it out of the park. It's getting in the zone. It's keeping on your toes, on target, on top. Focus is staring the world in the face and saying, bring it. Focus is power. Focus is life. And 5-hour energy is focus.
Where do you think the strongest muscles in your body are? Abs? Biceps? They're in your eyes. But using a computer can strain them, causing headaches. Now, think about this. Your eye doctor has new technology to combat that. Isn't it time you thought about seeing an eye doctor yearly? Find a Think About Your Eyes doctor near you at thinkaboutyoureyes.com and keep those muscles feeling fit.
Welcome back to Duke and Cameron Indoor. This is the ACC on ESPN. And this was the ACC on January 11th, 1997. Our flashback focus, Wake Forest's last win at Cameron Indoor. The number 2 Demon Deacons get 26 points and 14 rebounds from two-time ACC Player of the Year Tim Duncan. And Wake rolled past the 10th-ranked Blue Devils 81-69.
Missed the fundamental.
And this is the 240th meeting of the longest played ACC rivalry. The first collegiate game played in the state of North Carolina was played on March 2nd, 1906, when Duke was Trinity College and Wake Forest was still in Wake Forest. A lot of changes since then. Wake won 2 games that March of 1906. They won the first 6. And then their longest winning streak came from 93 to 97, as we saw with Tim Duncan. And prior to that, Randolph Childress, Rusty LaRue and company, as Emil Jefferson sits with his 3rd. Devin Thomas
kind of stumbled upon that one, but nevertheless, strong move.
His first field goal since the 17:30 mark.
And it was a direct post feed, which I thought they needed to do more of. Look at that.
How does J.Parker get wide open?
Oh, terrific entry pads, and then Parker's quickness. As soon as he caught it, he was on the way.
Hairston gambled, commits his 2nd.
Now, Tom, watch. As soon as he gets it right here, Kavanaugh leaves him. He's on his way to go up before the help even has a sniff that he's open.
The push inside on Hairston, his 3rd.
What are you looking for? Josh, you're not going to play that one again.
And so he'll take a seat. 4th team foul on Duke this half. Plumlee replaces him on the interior.
Look at the
overplay
active
again.
hand.
And this is
Active
J.Parker
hand.
Parker again. Oh, J.Parker. Off of Overton, Duke basketball.
They're having so much trouble looking into Devin Thomas because the help side is coming off of Madison Jones's man. Take a look at those active hands, top 10 nominee. Get my vote. How about you?
You never told me Autotrader.com had new cars. I'd love them in 2014. These are sweet, but what kind of deal can I get? Okay, just special offers.
Now compare brand new cars from local dealers and special offers.
That one.
So you can find the one new car your head and heart can agree on.
Whoa.
Autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive marketplace.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? Create your stunning website today. Go to Wix.com. It's easy and free.
Denise Schropp with Bruce Pearl. The story going into the Florida-Missouri game, Chris Walker's debut. Jabari Brown and Mizzou coach, they'll want to change the narrative.
They got crushed last year at Florida. They're in the game in Gainesville.
1-point game on ESPN.
Two of the longest home court winning streaks in college basketball belong to Florida and Duke, both at 28 straight. 11th ranked Blue Devils a problem with Wake after that 25 run to close the half, and back at it again in the second half. J.Parker has turned it on big time. Join us Sunday on ESPNU for college basketball doubleheader. At 6, the #1 ranked Syracuse Orange, off to their first 22-0 start in school history. Play host to Clemson on ACC Sunday Night Basketball. Then at 8, Colorado hosts Washington in a Pac-12 showdown. A Sunday college basketball doubleheader at 6 and 8 on ESPNU and live on Watch ESPN. That's 12.5 minutes. J.Parker has come alive after a slow start.
It's going to be interesting to see if Clemson, another orange-clad team, if they control tempo. They won today playing in the 40s. And I'm sure Syracuse is going to try to avoid that as much as they can.
It's been a slower tempoed ACC this year with the advent of Syracuse obviously joining the league in their zone has slowed down a lot of guys, a lot of teams.
And Pittsburgh is just scrappy D.
R.Sulaimon has another chance for a three-point play.
R.Sulaimon showing quick moves off the screen. Nobody helps on the screen for Wake. Look at this. The hedge comes much too late. You know, it's as though Mackay and Thomas were in foul trouble, but each of them only have 2. They could step up.
And that swipe produced the third on Mackay. R.Sulaimon with 17 points.
Yeah, get up there a lot quicker than that.
Guy tried to go back door. And before that, we got a whistle inside on Plumlee, his second. The lanes just haven't been there for the back cuts for Wake in the last, say, 15 minutes of game action.
And if they were, too much ball pressure. You know, that's the best way to thwart backdoor situations, is to get up on the ball and make it difficult for the passer. It's the same thing with the lobs inside on a high-low situation or alley-oop. You pressure the pass, and it's far more difficult.
That one's going against Devin Thomas, his third.
Boy, looks like insult to injury. You get popped in the back of the head and still get the foul called on you.
Three Deacons with 3 fouls apiece. Wake turnovers have turned into 21 Duke points. Tyler Thornton.
Say what, on that job defensively by Miles Overton, much better job on Rodney Hood, forcing him to go to right side instead of going left. And then when he finally had help going to the left, then he'd jump on his right hand and make him go left, even though that's Hood's strong hand. Wake should have done that a lot more often in the first half and here in the beginning of the second.
Dawkins returns. That was the third person on Parker, who stays on the floor. Thornton takes a seat. And Cook re-enters. Rodney Hood has some blood on him. He's staying in the game. And Parker didn't know he was the one coming out, so they'll get that scratch cleaned up and bandaged up if they can here in the next moment.
Not for the squeamish.
Fantastic athletic training staff here at Duke. Peyton Manning came and got a lot of work done a couple of off seasons ago when he was going through his rehab work. But this is turning into a Super Bowl type route. Plumlee fouls Overton hard. Number 3 on Marshall Plumlee.
And in case you're wondering, that's all part of guarding the basket. You know, in a situation like this, you still want to plant in Wake Forest's mind that you're not coming in here unscathed. And so if you don't get the block, you still communicate the message.
More and more, that to me is an old school way of thinking. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure.
But in this day and age where even guys at the highest level, the LeBron Jameses of the world, are selling fouls and reacting with flair to try and get a whistle, for a guy to guard the basket like that is refreshing to me.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. That's part of the game, and you're not doing it maliciously. You're not out there trying to hurt anyone. But, you know, this game is a contact sport. Football's a collision sport. Basketball's at least a contact sport.
I thought Syracuse did a fantastic job selling some fouls in Saturday's win against Duke.
Yeah, the problem with selling fouls is that all too often the officials buy it.
Yeah.
And particularly in the NBA, I mean, that's, unfortunately, that's entertainment.
Plumlee from point-blank range. His first points of the night come on an offensive putback, and Duke leads by 21.
When I say entertainment, it's more so than college, where the superstars pretty much rule. People pay to see those guys stay in the game. You want to make sure that they're not getting hurt.
What happened to just being tougher than the other guy? Taking a shot, saying, I can deal with that.
Yeah, for a lot of folks today in this game, toughness is a facade. You know, it's like those studio buildings. You look behind it and there's nothing there.
It's like a Hollywood set.
Yeah.
Dawkins rolls it home.
That's what I was talking about.
14 for Andre Dawkins. When the rest of the starters had a hard time getting primed for this one, Dawkins and Sulaiman carried Duke early.
And that's right. Like you said, you put the bench in and told the starters, okay, take a look at these guys, how hard they hustle, how hard they're playing, and maybe it becomes contagious.
Jones tried to step through.
Now, with
no bucket, but another trip to the free throw line coming for Wake Forest. 11:58 left.
Rip City. All-stars Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge have pushed Portland into the ranks of the West's elite.
Aldridge, the foul in the bucket.
The Blazers take their high-octane act to the Garden against Melo's Knicks. Then
LeBron's got all that.
King James and Blake Griffin rise up as the Heat and Clippers throw down.
Griffin throws it down.
The NBA on ESPN. Blazers Knicks at 8 Eastern. Heat Clippers at 10:30. Presented by State Farm. Tomorrow.
The person who said, if you love something, set it free, probably wasn't talking about dollars. Pretty much everybody wants to keep those. Most car insurance companies know this because they keep yelling about it. Only they don't say how they're saving those dollars. But Esurance was born online, raised by technology, and majors in efficiency. When they save, you save. So you can keep your dollars. Esurance, backed by Allstate. Click or call.
Coming off of a remarkable Duke football season, 10 wins, the most in program history. They won the ACC Coastal Division. David Cutcliffe was named the Conference and National Head Coach of the Year, and that takes us to signing day. 2014 college football season starts now with National Signing Day. ESPNU will have 11 hours of coverage featuring reporters at a dozen campuses, live player announcements, and up-to-the-minute class ranking updates. ESPNU's National Signing Day tomorrow at 8 a.m. Duke got a big one already. Trevon Lee, wide receiver from Cardinal Gibbons in Florida, gives Duke 4 four-star recruits. They now have more 4-stars than 6 teams in the Big Ten, 6 in the Pac-12, 5 in the ACC, and 4 in the Big 12. I think a big season means something. And an exciting Chick-fil-A Bowl against Johnny Manziel in Texas A&M.
The only rule that I would like to see enforced would be for the recruits who are going to make their announcements, only one hat on the table. Stop fooling those other schools.
Well, Dave Clawson has flipped a couple of hats. New staff brought some energy to Winston-Salem. They've already flipped some recruits that were headed to previously Louisville and Rutgers, so they need to keep that up.
That's cold-blooded, man. You pick up one hat and say, I'm going to here.
I was told, you know, when J.Parker Parker committed to Duke last December, I believe it was, he reached into a bag to pull out a Duke T-shirt or a Duke jersey. I forget which it was, but there was some hesitation when he reached in the bag to pull it out. There's A.Dawkins. He's been pulling out threes all night. And you got staffs from Michigan State and Duke and BYU and everybody holding their breath. Where's he going to go? The problem and the reason that J.Parker Parker hesitated pulling the shirt out of the bag is that until he looked into the bag, he didn't realize the shirt was inside out. So he had to quickly pull it right, flip it, before he pulled it out and showed that he was indeed coming to Duke. He's got 16 and 6 tonight. Blake's turned it over 17 times. He's got another loaded class coming in next year. Neil Jefferson fouled by Adalamoto. His third. And Emil Jefferson to the free throw line.
Talk about a loaded class coming in. How can you not? You know, you got a prestigious academic institution, that's premier program in America. Yeah, I would think there are so many guys, if they qualify, who would love to be here. Love to learn from that man.
Kavanaugh takes a seat. Duke and Kentucky each have 4 commits named in McDonald's All-American rosters. The news came out this week. So the rich just get richer, huh?
Yeah. You know, and again, it's somewhat surprising that the Duke program is recruiting similar to Kentucky. You know, that trend of taking one and dones. You know, but it hasn't really hurt either of them.
Jaleel Okafor, center from Chicago, rated number 1 in the ESPN 100.
That's all well and good. You get me to talk about them when they come and they play on this hard floor and prove themselves. Not saying that they're not worthy, but I think it's, you know, it's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on these guys. We've seen, you know, a number of them succumb early, only to kind of regroup themselves. I mean, that's part of the maturation process, sure, but they have enough of a transition, not only to the college game, but to college life, including academics and life on their own. You know, this constant criticism of these guys on a consistent basis, you know, under the microscope constantly, you know, for 18 and 19-year-olds, it's just a bit much.
Well, something John Calipari talked about in his postgame on ESPNU tonight after the win against Ole Miss. Johnny Hood's spin move was left short.
The only problem with that is I think John and his group brought it on themselves when they had that talk about an undefeated season. You know, now you know how media is. You set yourself up for something like that, they're coming after you.
That's just chum in the water.
Yeah, he's conceptually he's correct. You know, they're the most analyzed team in America. They may be because of the great high school players he's brought on, but by the same token, don't egg the media on to continue to do that, bring their magnifying glasses by saying, you might go undefeated. And I don't know if he said exactly that, but they certainly discussed it.
Well, there may not be anyone better in college basketball at building hype and getting everyone to talk about your team than building a wall around your team than John Calipari.
Yeah. I mean, it's for them, that's part of the territory. And he's got a national championship under his belt. He's been successful over the years, so it works for him.
Speaking of Calipari, that rise by Duke jumping all these spots in the polls is the most, according to our friends at Elias, since his UMass team did it with Marcus Camby as a freshman. They, after losing a game and jumping 6 spots in the polls. There's Thomas inside. That was a UMass team with Derek Kellogg, now the head coach there, and Lou Rowe.
Lou Rowe on the staff there as well.
They lost early in that season as J.Parker gets taken down by Jones. They lost early in that season to #1 North Carolina. They beat #1 North Carolina. They lost to #6 Kansas, and then they beat Oklahoma on the span of 1 week. That was in 1993, according to Elias Sports Bureau, the only previous team, or let me rephrase it, the last team to jump 6 spots in the AP poll following a loss, as Duke did after the loss to Syracuse.
Well, you recognize, though, that there had to be some wins associated with that, just as the win at Pittsburgh, I'm sure, was part of it. Had you isolated just the loss itself, I'm not so sure Duke or UMass would have ever jumped that high and jumped at all. It was just about the loss.
Quinn Cook didn't start today as he gets a pep talk from Mike Krzyzewski. Second time he hasn't started in ACC play.
I've always believed that Quinn Cook is a catalyst to this team. Terrific assist man, second in the ACC in assists, top 10 in steals and assist turnover ratio. But offensively, he's had some issues over the last several games.
Thomas trying to find that loose ball, pop Dawkins. And Devin Thomas picks up his 4th. Looked inadvertent as he was trying to wrangle that loose ball.
And you can see the frustration on his face, man. He got his team off to a terrific start. It's almost as though they forgot about him for much of the first half. And in doing so, they ultimately wound up losing ground and going into a deficit. But he's a terrific big man, just a sophomore. Leads the ACC in rebounding.
And you saw Cody Miller-McIntyre in the Wake Forest bench. Wake playing without him after his ankle injury in the first half on Saturday. He did participate in their practice today in their shoot-around, and it was kind of touch and go. When he first came on the floor, taking jump shots, he was certainly favoring his ankle. It really hurt him, I thought, watching practice today when he tried to move laterally defensively when he was out there working against the scout team. But Wake will have the weekend off. They're back to it a week from tonight on the road. Another Big 4 game as they travel to NC State. Parker. And so Cody Miller-McIntyre will get more than a week's worth of rest to try and return against the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot rush something like that, no matter how big the game is. A young man with a future in front of him. You don't want to risk even greater injury. It's not like this is a pro game where you get paid to take those risks. And even then you should.
That's a 2.
Wake, they need a spark here. They need to be able to make a couple stops and then answer with scores. And see, going to the basket strong still doesn't help him with Kavanaugh. He should have drawn a foul on that one.
19-point Duke lead. Frustrated Wake team on the offensive end. Parker trying to make him frustrated on the defensive end. Kavanaugh charged with his 4th personal. Jabari Parker's got 18. Mike Krzyzewski wanted Duke to work the ball inside, and they've got the perfect man to do just that. the freshman J.Parker. And Duke's up by 21.
I can't believe this is finally happening.
Before our daughter gets here?
Behind every open heart is a story. Tell yours with my new Open Hearts Waves collection at K Jewelers. Keep your heart open and love will always flow in.
Every kiss begins with K.
As a business owner, I'm constantly putting out fires. So I deserve a small business credit card with amazing rewards. With the Spark Cash Card from Capital One, I get 2% cash back on every purchase every day. I break my back around here. Finally, someone's recognizing me with unlimited rewards. Meeting start at 11, Cindy.
Get the Spark Business Card from Capital One. Choose 2% cash back or double miles on every purchase every day.
What's in your wallet? I need your time sheet, Larry.
With Bruce Pearl and Anish Shroff over on ESPN, Missouri visiting Florida.
All right, Anish, thanks. Here Duke in control against Wake Forest, 72-51. In the longest played rivalry in the history of the ACC, and it was a wild weekend in the conference. Trio buzzer beaters make up this week's ACC headlines. It was R.Sulaimon to force overtime as time expired Saturday, but Duke came up short 91-89. Also on Saturday, you may have missed this one, Notre Dame's Eric Atkins 3 with 1 second left in OT helped the Irish knock off Boston College at home. And on Sunday, this was a beautiful play. Malcolm Brogdon with the game winner with 4/10 of a second remaining as the Cavs handed Pitt a rare another home loss, 48-45. Syracuse one of 2 NCAA unbeaten teams after knocking off Notre Dame on Monday behind 33 from Trevor Cooney. Virginia now finally recognized by the pollsters, 8-1 since January 1st, 17-5 overall, and Duke leapfrogged some others by moving up 6 spots after the win at Pitt and the loss to Syracuse. Sulaiman came up with 2 huge shots in the last 46 seconds of regulation against Syracuse. And just as you were thinking, watching that game as a fan, Duke at one point was down, they're down 7 with 6:37 to go, but they weren't done.
Nope, and I would say you get it close. I've seen some Duke miracles. Obviously the biggest one, Christian Laettner's shot. I was right there on the sideline calling it the NCAA tournament. You know, never count them out. You know, there's an angel probably hanging from one of these rafters right here. Good movement by Wake, but they got to get themselves free for open look.
Adamoto is able to draw the foul on the Hood, and that's a 4th on Hood.
And again, I like Adamoto making himself a threat. You know, shot selection sometimes can be questioned, but that's what he's good at. He'll muscle you to the basket.
And so Hood takes a seat.
And look at this lead by Duke, you know, 19 points. And, you know, you can think of a lot of things for Wake, what they could have done, what they should do, and it's not over. I mean, it would take certainly some piece of a miracle with 7 minutes left to overcome an 18-point lead, but it's not impossible. But my point is, where's Travis McKay? I mean, he's been a mainstay for this program since he was a freshman, and he's pretty much invisible in this game. Makes a good play right there.
He was chasing Dawkins around the screen. McKay has not scored in the second half. He had 26 points against Georgia Tech, including 18 in the second half.
Now he's got Tyler Thornton guarding him, and you wonder if his team recognizes that mismatch situation. Look at it right there. You have an opportunity. He would post up. He posted up strong, he'd get the ball.
That's a 3rd on Quinn Cook. Don't miss a Wednesday night hoops doubleheader right here on ESPNU. At 7, we go to the Big 12. Number 21, Oklahoma. and West Virginia. Then at 9, number 14 Louisville, 7-2 in the American, takes on Houston. Wednesday Night Hoops at 7 and 9 on ESPNU, also live on Watch ESPN.
Talk about surprising confidence, the American. You know, we got a team like Cincinnati that's ranked very highly. Memphis, Louisville have been in the top 25 all season.
How about SMU?
Yeah, well, I was going to say SMU is the team. UConn obviously is the team people expected this year to get there, but SMU is a surprise. Larry Brown's got those guys playing hard. They're playing, for the most part, fundamentally sound. All the things I would expect from a Larry Brown coach team. He'll always get the maximum out of the guys that he has.
Officials have gone back to double-check the clock, we believe. Brian Dorsey getting it right.
One of the best things about SMU when you talk to them is that his guys love practice. I'm talking practice, man. Practice.
And it's not just because they have that beautiful new practice facility at Moody Coliseum.
Oh, that could be part of it.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Kavanaugh to the free throw line. Sulaiman returns. Dawkins takes a seat. Aaron Roundtree the third back on the floor for Wake.
You can't kick away opportunities like this on the line to get some 3 points. As we talked about, Wake Forest gets to the line on average 27 times. And they've already gotten 22 opportunities. Duke trying to melt that clock.
Wake shot 33 free throws in their loss to Georgia Tech. Fancy footwork from Parker. He's got 20. Duke is 11-1 on the season when J.Parker scores 20 or more.
Right there, not only fancy footwork, but a nice use of his arms. He was behind the basket and extended to get that ball up on the glass and get that fortuitous bounce.
Shot clock at 7. Thornton got a hand in there. Shot clock at 3. Step through. Kept it alive for Jones. And Madison Jones will shoot a pair. That's a fourth on J.Parker, who fouled out against Syracuse.
Normally in a more competitive game, you take the risk of fouling Madison Jones simply because he shoots 46% from the line. And I'm not so sure J.Parker needed to do that one.
And so Parker playing with 4. Thomas re-entered for Wake Forest. He has 4. As is Kavanaugh.
All right.
Made them both. And Wake will extend pressure.
Duke was spreading the floor almost like a wheel, no real hub. J.Parker maybe in the middle right here. Now they're taking time off the clock.
And a foul with 3 seconds left on the shot clock.
And this is where the freedom of motion, freedom of movement, I should say, those are the calls that are being made right now. Guys going to the basket, people putting hands on. And it's going to happen when you play the course of a game like this and players get tired, the defenders get tired. Start using their hands instead of moving their feet.
Devin Thomas had an incredible start to this game. He had 7 points in the first 2.5 minutes. He finishes with 14. 5 of 8 shooting with a couple of boards. Only 2 rebounds for the #1 rebounder in the ACC coming in.
That, to me, is the most surprising element. You know, defensively, he's the #1 defensive rebounder as well.
Duke's got another one off the glass. Well, Mike Krzyzewski has to be thrilled with this uptick in rebounding for Duke.
The rebounding is effort. There's no question about it. It's effort. Certainly you have to have a plan and an idea of how to get position, particularly offensive rebounding. I have always said that real rebounding comes on the offensive end. You know, so many of us can get good defensive rebounds, but you've got to be able to get balls on the weak side, put them back. You got to give your team a second opportunity, a third opportunity. And that means you got to dig, you got to fight the blockouts. And Duke has been able to do that.
Quinn Cook fouled on the 3. And then afterwards, got an up-close and personal word from his head coach.
Well, I mean, you talk about, you know, motivation and satisfaction as well as, you know, continuing support. Cook didn't start this game. You know he's a vital part of this team. You know, I always believe he's a catalyst. And, yeah, he's going to hit a bad stretch here and there. But, you know, I like the way Mike Krzyzewski continues to boost him and make him feel good about himself. And that's obviously going to get him back to the Quinn Cook we've always expected and we've seen.
Officials want to take another look.
That was pretty much inadvertent. That wasn't intentional.
Adalamoto inside on Jefferson.
And you also want to take a look and see if it was excessive, regardless whether it was intentional or not. Then you can wind up with a flagrant 1. It looks like
they've already decided it. Well, I think that there's another thing at play here.
Yep.
Yep, flagrant. It'll be a flagrant 1, and they'll put Josh Hairston at the free throw line after he took the shot above the shoulders from Arno Adalamoto. I thought originally it was Cook who was fouled on the 3.
And that, you know, that could have also been construed as an elbow above the shoulders.
So Hairston only his 12th free throw attempt of the season as Jeff Vizdelek gathers his guys for a moment.
You know, it's all about technique. If you're going to block out, you want to use your body and not your arms. But as I said, when fatigue sets in, there's always a tendency to use your hands and not use your feet or your body to play it the way it should be played.
We were talking a moment ago about Quinn Cook getting the positive reinforcement from his Hall of Fame head coach. Now, we were here earlier this season when R.Sulaimon was in the doghouse a little bit. We were talking about playing time with Mike Krzyzewski, and he said, listen, nothing is guaranteed to anybody on my team when it comes to playing time. It's not served with a bow. It's not a gift. You earn it, and there's different ways you earn it, but number one, to Sulaimon's struggles at that time, and maybe this applies to Cook, is production.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not producing, he's going to find someone who can get on the floor and produce.
And the fair thing is that the player understands the metrics by which he's going to be judged. And as I said, you know, Quinn Cook offensively might not have been taking good shots, may not be getting people involved, might not have been playing the type of defense we've come to expect from him. But, you know, those things are brief in duration. And I think Quinn Cook will come back and play, as I said, the way you would expect him to play.
After the 12th offensive rebound, Duke walks it out to burn some more clock. Sulaimon's runner left short. Hairston went on the top of round 3. There's no whistle there. And a foul on the open floor will go against R.Sulaimon. It's his first. He stepped away for a timeout. Still 3.5 minutes remaining from Durham. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn 1.5% cash back on every purchase.
Celebrate President's Day with the freedom of choice at Rent-A-Center. Right now, take home a 47-inch LG Smart LED TV, a Whirlpool Cabrio washer and dryer pair, or a 15-inch Lenovo laptop. Your choice, just $19.99 per week with no credit check. Hurry into Rent-A-Center now through February 22nd for the President's Day sale. And get big brands for small payments with no credit check. Only at Rent-A-Center.
You know, millions of people have saved with Progressive, so I get invited to quite a few family gatherings. Heck, I saved Judith here a fortune with discounts like Safe Driver, Multi-Car, Paperless. You make a mighty fine Mrs. Milady. I'm not saying Mark's thrifty. Let's just say I saved him $519, and it certainly didn't go toward that ring. Am I right? So visit Progressive.com today. I call this one the Robot.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? Create your stunning website today. Go to Wix.com. It's easy and free.
Welcome back to Super Tuesday as Duke has a 28-game home court win streak on the line against Wake Forest and leading by 21 with 3.5 to go with the 11th-ranked Blue Devils. Wake Forest is without their leading scorer and assist man, Cody Miller-McIntyre. He turned his ankle in the first half against Georgia Tech, hasn't played since, and he is so important to this team.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen these highlights right here against Carolina where he not only got the job done offensively, he got other guys involved. You know, averages 14 points, 4 assists. And when you look at the way they wanted to play today, Wake Forest with only 7 assists on 18 field goals. You probably could have used a guy like that who's particularly adept at penetrating, finding the open man, as well as finishing.
He had 20 points and 10 assists against Virginia Tech, the first Deacon with a 10-assist game since Chris Paul did so against Texas. And he's the only guard in the ACC with a 20-10 game this season. Another one coming from Madison Jones.
Although it's not, you know, to make an excuse for Wake Forest. They had their opportunity. First half, they played terrifically, but they got away from their game plan. They got away from going to Devin Thomas. And defensively, they just allowed far too many catch-and-shoot opportunities for Duke. Now, it's easier said than done because Duke has almost perfected the penetrate kick, or penetrate, then kick. But their guys, you know, when they get their feet set and they're ready to go and they get an open look, they'll knock them down, particularly A.Dawkins, Rodney Hood.
Parker in isolation. Ooh. He took it up with one hand.
That looked like a good block, too.
If it's on Kavanaugh, it's his fifth. It's on Andre Washington.
Yeah, you just got to be careful not to showboat. So. Long season, halfway over. Guys have short memories.
6 weeks from the NCAA tournament now. Another one coming for Parker.
Should say they have long memories.
Isolation now for Mackay. He got it caught on his hip, but still get a trip to the free throw line.
Yeah, you see the way he told all of his guys to move over to the left? That was the best advertisement in the world for the fact that he was driving right. And yeah, he needs to get on track. He's a very finely skilled player out there. And sometimes it looks like he gets lost in this offense.
Parker sits with 21 and 8. Jimmy Ojale replaces him. Mackay making his 117th consecutive start today. Longest streak in the ACC. Top 10 in points and rebounds in Wake Forest history. And he came in on a tear with 19 points a game over his last 4 and 42% shooting from deep. But he never got on track tonight. Hood. And there's Mackay in the glass. Kavanaugh going strong. 12th offensive rebound for Wake Forest.
Yeah, and going back to Travis Mackay, he's coming off his best game of the year against Georgia Tech, 26 points, including 11 of 11 from the free throw line, and now all of a sudden, they kind of lose him. It's just hard to believe.
Ojale commits his first personal on the drive from Madison Jones, 19-point game. Join us Sunday on ESPNU for a college basketball doubleheader in the battle of orange-clad jerseys. Number 1 ranked Syracuse, 22-0, will play host to Clemson on ACC Sunday Night Basketball. Then at 8, Colorado, trying to end its tailspin, plays host to Washington in a Pac-12 showdown. Sunday college basketball doubleheader at 6 and 8 on ESPNU and live on Watch ESPN. Trevor Cooney helped shake Syracuse's hangover on Monday night with a quick turnaround. He had 33 and a 61-55 win. He had 9 threes, a Syracuse record Monday night at the Dome.
You know what this is reminiscent of? And you take a look at Wichita State, which I believe, folks, you can't keep saying they have a weak schedule. They play who they play, and right now they're perfect. You've got to have passed the eye test. And I've seen them play. These guys dig in defensively. They've got diversity on offense. They've got a pretty good bench. People can't keep saying they have a weak schedule and just leave them where they are. I'm sorry. But going back to Syracuse real quick, kind of reminds me of when a pitcher pitches a perfect game. You always need some unexpected hero to come and make a grab or make a terrific play in the field to preserve it. And that's what Cooney did, I think, for Syracuse up until now.
9 threes in it. By the way, Wichita State tomorrow will take on Indiana State on the road. Indiana State beat Notre Dame in South Bend earlier this season.
And that's the team that's supposed to challenge them. They dismantled Indiana State in Wichita a couple weeks ago. Beat them by 20.
I just hope Wichita State got out of town. I mean, they got like a foot of snow today. They're trying to make it to Indiana.
People in the Plain States, they're used to snow. Getting out of there, snow drifts.
Here's Ojale. He found playing time in the non-conference campaign. Trying to work his way back in the rotation. Minute to go here at Durham. Mike Krzyzewski will go to 44 and 23 in his career against Wake Forest. The second on Aaron Roundtree. And Duke will take its home court win streak to 29 consecutive games. They have 17 undefeated seasons here at home, including last year, and they are going to move to 13-0 here in Cameron.
Well, the one positive thing for Wake is that they've discovered now that, they can play this style. They can put the ball on the floor. They can drive and play aggressively. As you said, they've beaten Notre Dame. They beat Carolina. They got to keep this up, perfect it, find a way to get Travis Mackay involved, and, hope that Cody Miller-McIntyre comes back sooner than later. This team can still be pretty formidable. Just remember, in front of them, they've got NC State, Florida State, Maryland, Carolina again. And they have Duke at their place on March 5th.
And they already have a win against NC State this season, beat them by 1 at the Dole earlier this year. So that's the next time out for Wake to head to Raleigh and try to find another win against the Pack. Crazies chanting Our House in Cameron Indoor, which opened in 1940. Moving home to a 29-game home court win streak as Ojale drains a triple. Be the 18th win of the season for Duke. 7-3 in ACC play. Mike Krzyzewski called on his reserves early. A.Dawkins came off the bench for 12 in the first half. R.Sulaimon had 13. It took a while for Parker and Hood to get going, but they did eventually. And Duke used a 20-5 run in the last 5 minutes of the first half to take control of this one. They pulled away then, and Wake never threatened again. The result is a 20-point win for 11th-ranked Duke. Our final, 83-63. Coming up next, it's the ESPNU National Signing Day preview. So long from Durham, where Duke wins it by 22.
Right now.